All right, so now that you're able to take an equation in vertex form and come up with some characteristics, now we want to say, what if we're given some characteristics, can we come up with the equation? So the two equations we're going to focus on are the vertex forms of a parabola, so either one that opens up or down, so the x term is being squared, or one that opens left or right, so our y term is being squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at, video is going to be broken into two parts. So there's part 1 and part 2. So part 1, we're going to be given a vertex in both of our examples. And then in part 2, we're going to look at what happens if we're not given a vertex. So I am a very visual person. As you saw in the first video and in the reading you did, there are some formulas you can choose to memorize. But for me, it's not very difficult to plot a couple points and then be able to determine my equation based on the view of my graph. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look here, and I'm told my focus is 3, -4. I'm going to change colors. Is 3, -4, so I'm going to go over 3 and down 4 on my graph, so I'd be about right here. My graph paper here that I was able to find isn't exactly perfect. And then I want a vertex of 1, -4. So I'm going to go over 1, down 4. Here's my vertex. Well, I know my focus is always going to be inside of my parabola. So that tells me that my parabola must open up here. So we need two things to write an equation. We're going to need the vertex, and we're going to need that p-value that we're using in our equation. We're also, I guess I should say we're going to need three things, is we're also going to need our orientation. Well, I can see from my picture that my orientation opens to the right. So if it opens left or right, I know the form that I'm going to be following is y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h. So as I said, I have to find my vertex and my p-value. Well, lucky me, I was given my vertex, so I can go ahead, plug that in. That's my h comma k value. My p, remember, is always going to be the distance. Either you can think of it as one of two ways. You can think of it as the distance between your vertex and your focus, or between your vertex and your directrix. So in this particular example, I wasn't given my directrix. However, I was given my focus. So I can see based on my graph that I went from 1 to 3. Therefore, my p-value must be 2. Well, now I have everything I need. Now I'm just going to plug it into my chosen equation. And again, I chose the equation I did because it opened to the right. And I'm going to have y minus a minus 4, so y plus 4 squared equals 4 times my p, so 4 times 2 times x minus my 1. And there is my equation of my parabola in my vertex form. Let's now look at example 2. So in example 1, I was given a vertex and a focus. Now I'm given a vertex and a directrix. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by graphing out what I'm given to see if that helps me out a little bit, because I need my vertex, I need my p-value, and as I stated before, I also need my orientation. So my vertex is at -2, 4. So back to up 4. There's my vertex. My directrix, or my line, is at the line y equals 1. So my directrix will be right here. Well, I know my directrix is always going to lie below my parabola, or the outside of my parabola. Maybe outside is a better word than below, since sometimes my orientation is left or right. So if it lies outside of my parabola, I can see that my parabola must be opening up. Well, now that I know my orientation, I'm going to choose one of my formulas. I'm going to choose the one that squares the x, since it opens either up or down. And now I need to know my vertex, and I need to know my p-value. Well, I was given my vertex. It's right here. I can plug that in for h and k. So there's my h comma k. I can figure out my p-value because, as I stated before, it's going to be either the distance between my vertex and my focus, or my vertex and my directrix. In the last example, I was given my focus. In this example, I'm given my directrix, so I can simply just count and have a p-value of 1, 2, 3 units, since there's a difference of 3 in between those two. And now just plugging in, I get x minus a minus 2, so plus 2 squared equals 4 times y. Excuse me, that's not supposed to be 4, that's 4p. So I'm going to fix that. So 4 times p is going to be 12 times y minus 4. And there's going to be my equation of my parabola in my vertex form. So now I'm going to have you watch the second video. As I said before, these ones are a little bit more basic because now you're given the vertex in each of these, so you're given one of those values you need, and it's very easy from the graph to just count to figure out your p-value. The next set is going to be a higher level difficulty, so please do make sure you watch the second video as well.